This is the CBS Sunday Night News with Ed Bradley.
Good evening. In Tehran tonight, the American embassy is in the hands of several hundred Iranian students who took control after a 3-hour skirmish with U.S. Marines. They are holding hostages, one report says as many as 100, most of them American, and are demanding that the exiled Shah of Iran, now undergoing cancer treatment at a New York hospital, be returned to stand trial. We have a report from Diane Sawyer in Washington.
It was late morning in Tehran when the mob of students stormed the embassy. The small contingent of U.S. Marine Guards, under orders to avoid violence, tried to disperse the crowd with tear gas, but was vastly outnumbered. The demonstrators burned the American flag, blindfolded and handcuffed at least some of their American hostages, and paraded them in front of the embassy building. CBS News reached one of the demonstrators by telephone, who outlined the student demands.
We want to send Shah back to Iran. We want our government to cut their relation with the American government.
In Washington, a special State Department task force convened. Officials stressed the peaceful nature of the incident so far and said the head of the U.S. Embassy in Iran, who was not in the building at the time of the takeover, has been assured that the Iranian government will do its best to resolve the matter. But a spokesman at the Iranian embassy here said U.S. government officials have only themselves to blame.
We told them that if the Shah comes to the United States, no matter what, there will be a serious reaction in Iran, because hundreds of thousands of families have been hurt by him, who has been supported by the United States government for all these years.
Later this afternoon, several Iranian protesters chained themselves to the Statue of Liberty. Others demonstrated outside the New York City hospital, where the Shah is receiving treatment for cancer. This is the second time in a year Iranians have taken over the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, which is forcing State Department officials to wonder, even if this incident is peacefully resolved, what about the next? Diane Sawyer, CBS News at the State Department.
Mayor, we've got to discuss these plans.
Slow down, Dave. Have some coffee.
Whoa.
Only half a cup. Don't you like my coffee?
I love the rich taste. It's the caffeine I can do without.
You happen to be drinking Brim decaffeinated coffee.
This is Brim?
This is Brim, and it's decaffeinated, so you don't have to stop at half a cup.
If it tastes this rich, I don't want to stop. Fill it to the rim.
With Brim.
Fill your cup to the rim with the rich taste of Brim.
America, the world is waiting.
Early morning, new day dawning, the world wakes up for you.
Your world is coming alive, and Visa is there.
You're traveling, you're moving, you're getting far from life.
Every day in 120 countries, thousands of people are getting ready for you. For traveling, shopping, and cash, Visa is the most widely recognized name in the world. Visa, we're keeping up with you.
12 men linked to the Ku Klux Klan are in jail in Greensboro, North Carolina tonight, charged with first-degree murder. The FBI has also entered the case to determine possible civil rights violations in the shooting at an anti-Klan rally yesterday, which left 4 demonstrators dead and 2 in critical condition. We have a report from Bruce Hall.
Nelson Johnson, an avowed communist and organizer of the anti-Ku Klux Klan demonstration, was released from jail today on $1,000 bond after having been charged with inciting a riot. He vowed demonstrations in opposition to the Klan will continue and blamed the Greensboro police for the deaths.
We said before that we have no confidence in the police department protecting us. It has been verified.
The police have received considerable criticism in the community for their lack of visible presence, particularly since the demonstrators had widely publicized a call for a confrontation with the Klan. The police chief said today the nearest officer was a block and a half away when the shooting began. He said the decision to keep a low profile and stay out of the area was made at the request of the demonstrators.
After having been told by the one group, we don't want the police, we don't want you here, kill the pigs, down with the pigs, we did not want to instigate an incident. So we stayed back, out of sight of the crowds.
Mayor Jim Melvin announced there will be a complete investigation, but he defended the police procedure.
That our police acted very properly, and that we think that they did a very adequate job in covering the scene of a very, very tragic, uncontrollable event.
The 12 Klan members or sympathizers who were arrested yesterday are scheduled to be arraigned tomorrow. and charged with 4 counts each of first-degree murder. One of the cars got away, but tonight police said 2 more suspects were arrested and will be charged with conspiracy to commit murder. Bruce Hall, CBS News, Greensboro, North Carolina.
President Carter's favorite state next to Georgia probably is Iowa, and this weekend Vice President Mondale went there to see whether Mr. Carter is still Iowa's favorite. Bob Fall reports from Ames.
The size of the crowd that met him, the sounds they made, and the signs they carried gave Vice President Mondale reason to crow.
Tonight's meeting in this room tells me that Iowa, the state that started Governor Carter to the presidency in 1976, is again going to send President Carter back to the White House for 4 more years.
Indeed, as Iowa Democrats cast their presidential straw poll ballots at last night's Jefferson-Jackson Day dinner, Mr. Carter's supporters predicted that when the vote is announced tomorrow, the president would drub Senator Kennedy 2 or 3 to 1, and Kennedy backers anticipate a drubbing.
You got to look around this room and find out who's here. It's county elected office holders, it's organizational people. Kennedy's natural constituency isn't here.
Hi there, how are you? Joe
Pleased to
Kennedy.
meet you, Joe.
Very nice to meet you. Hi there.
To offset Mondale's appearance, Kennedy sent in some of the Klan, nephew Joe, sister-in-law Ethel. This week, 2 of the senator's key political strategists will arrive and start organizing, and when they do, the president's campaign chief admits the situation here could change.
He comes out here and campaigns for 15 different days and covers 50 towns, and they put a lot of media money into the state, and they put 20 or 30 good organizers in here. If that's the kind of all-out effort that they make, as I say, it could be a very close race.
In Iowa, then, Carter Mondale started first, has spent most, and is better organized, but Kennedy is ahead in the polls, almost 2 to 1. And the question is whether that popularity can be translated into caucus strength between now and January 21st. Bob Fall, CBS News, Ames, Iowa.
2 Democrats are planning to formally declare themselves candidates for president this week, Senator Kennedy and California Governor Jerry Brown. Today in New Orleans, Governor Brown challenged President Carter and Senator Kennedy to debate with him starting before the first primary in New Hampshire.
Campaigning today is enormously expensive. It would be a profound disservice to the people of the country to contain the debate to 30-second TV commercials. More than that, there should be face-to-face debates between Senator Kennedy, President Carter, and myself.
You have to remember that in a campaign, particularly in the early going, winning is not everything. At least that's what some politicians tell us. Take yesterday's straw vote in Maine. George Bush won that one. But Senator Howard Baker, who finished second, said he didn't lose. He just didn't win, which is different. Baker even claimed a victory of sorts because he finished ahead of Ronald Reagan and John Connally.
If you occasionally overdo it, you may get an overdoer's backache. A nagging ache in the lumbar triangle, a muscle spasm of the deltoids, a painful soreness in the teres major. If so, you should know about Doan's pills. Doan's contains a medically proven pain-killing ingredient that relieves the pain of backache and strained muscles for hours. Doan's. It takes the ache out of backache. Doan's.
So he climbs out of the wreck.
People spend enough time talking to computers. When you talk life insurance, you want to talk one-to-one. Century Life only works one-to-one. That means individualized services. It means when you call us,
You won't get through.
you get one of us.
Hello? Bob, Phil.
At Century Life, our sales representatives and agents only work one way, one-to-one.
It says that we,
The Century family of companies for all your insurance needs.
Airline fares are climbing sky high, but a new Chicago-based airline is taking off with a fare that is truly a change, only change. Robert Jordan reports from Chicago.
Yeah, thank you.
Change background. That's unusual, and so is the fare. 28 cents to fly from Chicago to Detroit, 33 cents to Cleveland, and 37 cents to Kansas City instead of $37. The special fares are part of a weekend promotion by Midway Airlines, the nation's newest, and hundreds of people jammed airports to wait in long lines for a real bargain.
Just because it was 28 cents. She phoned me up yesterday morning and said, let's go to Chicago. So we came to Chicago.
O'Hare Airport, the nation's busiest, is usually crowded, at peak periods packed. On the contrary, business at Midway Airport has been declining since 1962 because its runways are too short for most commercial jets. But this weekend was like the good old days. Typical of last-minute flyers were three young boys who couldn't decide whether to go to Cleveland or McDonald's.
We might go on the plane ride to Cleveland, then we don't know if we should because we might not be able to get back.
Tomorrow, Midway's tickets will cost dollars instead of cents, but the no-frills fares will still be 25 to 50% lower than regular coach prices. The company hopes its profits will take off along with its planes. Robert Jordan, CBS News, Chicago.
Taster's Choice freeze-dried coffee. The image of ground roast. The crunch. The aroma. And the flavor. And now, with ground roast prices rising, it's good to know that a half a pound of Taster's Choice can make as many cups as 2 pounds of ground roast. So you could be saving with Taster's Choice, regular and decaffeinated, while still getting the look, smell, and taste of ground roast coffee.
Daddy, how do you spell North Pole?
There's one time of year that's always special, the holidays.
Think I have too many things on my list, Dad?
If extra cash can make your holiday extra special, see Beneficial. At this expensive time of year, we want to lend you the full amount you have in mind.
Why does Santa bring me presents, Daddy?
Because he loves you very much. See Beneficial. Give your family a holiday to remember.
Beneficial. You're good for more.
100 years ago today, one of America's most gifted humorists, Will Rogers, was born. And this weekend, his birthplace, the Indian Territory that became the state of Oklahoma, observed the anniversary with good humor. David Dick has the story.
In his 1921 silent movie, The Ropin' Fool, Will Rogers was the cowboy supreme. He roped everything from horses to goats. But in these pictures left out of the movie, there was one goat which got away. Willie was a precocious child, born here near Oologah, Oklahoma, November the 4th, 1879. He always knew what he wanted and how to get it.
Whatever he did with everything he had. And if you played with him or you competed with him, you played just as hard as you could.
Jimmy and Will Jr. came back to Rogers County, Oklahoma this weekend to help celebrate the 100th anniversary of the birth of their father.
We must have some 80 or 90,000 people here tonight. That's the most people that ever paid to see a politician.
Top Hollywood box office attraction during the Great Depression, syndicated columnist, radio commentator Will Rogers kept Americans smiling.
Now listen, don't let him knock Mr. Hoover too much. Just let him go see some of these other countries and come back. He looks good after you've been over there, brother.
We'll hold the distinction of being the only nation in the history of the world that ever went to the poorhouse in an automobile.
August 15th, 1935. Will and Wiley Post departed aboard the single-engine Orion Explorer headed for Siberia. The plane crashed at Point Barrow, Alaska. The words written here are the ones he always said he wanted to be remembered by. David Dick, CBS News, Claremore, Oklahoma.
That's our report this Sunday night. I'm Ed Bradley, CBS News. Good night.
This has been the CBS Sunday Night News with Ed Bradley. Tomorrow, start your day informed by Anchorman Bob Schieffer. On Monday morning from CBS News, you get the news, weather, sports, and much more on Monday morning on CBS. There will be no update of the CBS Sunday Night News.